once again and welcome to my channel. Tom Collier, the Painting Fool here, and I'm happy that you're back. I hope you'll enjoy this video and give me a thumbs up if you do. If you subscribe, you can receive notifications whenever I post new videos, and I really appreciate those of you who follow me. Today I'll be painting a landscape of a country road which I found on unsplash.com. It's courtesy of Aaron Burden. Thank you, Aaron. I'll be trying out some new watercolor paints by a Polish company named Renaissance. If you're curious about them, you can find them at A Little Creative Me on Etsy. That's all one word, A Little Creative Me. And April Mathis is the individual that has that channel, and she's the exclusive distributor of these paints in the United States, which are available both in tubes and pans, by the way. They are very reasonably priced and have been reviewed favorably by several well-respected artists. I'll be using 9x12 Arches cold press 140-pound paper and brushes by Silver Brush. The sun's shining brightly here, and it looks like a great day to do a little painting. So let's get wet and throw some paint around. Welcome back, here we go. All right, first thing we're gonna do is get the sky in here, and in our reference photograph we have, it looks like a nice clear blue sky, and since the horizon is kind of golden and yellow, I'm going to assume that this photograph was taken in the morning just prior to sunrise. So we'll put some yellow at the horizon there. Very light. This is actually Venetian yellow from the Renaissance collection. And the blue we used up there was cobalt blue. So I'm using a large hake brush at this point to wet the bottom part of the image, and a little Kleenex to kind of lift out about where the sun's just about to come over the horizon. And we'll kind of mop up our mess at the bottom. All right, now using a silver brush, 1 inch flat, we're going to mix up some colors for that bottom part there. Some greens using raw sienna, and looks like a little golden green. And now some golden green and some raw sienna again, a little thicker this time, no blue in it. Give us kind of a bit of a gold, and now we're mixing up some phthalo blue along with some Payne's gray. some more greens. This time a little cinnabar green. And I'm putting in the layers and leaving some white space where the road is going. Gotta get that little strip of grass going. This is a gravel road, so we gotta get that little strip of grass going down the middle. And some tire tracks, of course. Gonna put a little bit of dark edge where the road meets where the road meets the highway. Where the road meets the edge of the field, I guess you would call it. And using our fan brush, put in a little texture. Some phthalo blue and raw sienna, and we're going to try to indicate where there's some trees. Way off in the distance, of course. One lonely little bush with a little friend alongside of it, sitting out in the middle of this field here, just on the edge of the road. And we got our fan brush back and laying in some grasses and some bumpy textures here and there. This gravel road's way out in the country, and probably can't see it on your screen, I don't know, but you know, in the photograph there's a lot of humps and bumps in this field. Might be from cattle grazing out there. We're going to put in our foreground tree now. For this trunk, I'm using a mixture of paint to create a dark kind of grayish brown, and using my flat wash, the edge of my flat wash now, to indicate the larger trunks and branches. And we'll scrape a little highlight in there, create the impression of some bark. And now using some cad red light, some geranium lake, I guess it's called. It's kind of a magenta. And we'll put in indication of where some of these leaves are red. I don't know what kind of tree this is because everything else is green, so I don't think this is a fall image. But it's just it's a tree with some red leaves on it, so, which I thought were kind of striking. Actually using a stencil brush to put these clumps of leaves in. I found that it has kind of an interesting effect to it. Works best on a dry surface, so we have dried this out pretty well. It's a little bit damp yet, but not too bad. Just trying to kind of get the basic shapes of the clumps of leaves in there. And then we're going to lay in some shadows and some dark colors, and hopefully try to indicate. And I'm using, with this, I'm using mineral violet and Payne's gray. And we'll lay the shadows in on the bottom of these leaves. Tree is almost a silhouette, so we're gonna have to come in and darken up some of these areas. Some shadows in there. And we'll take our rigger, and some of that same dark color we use under the leaves to indicate some of the smaller branches and twigs connecting these clumps. And we'll give this little fella back here some trunks and branches, some leaves, some twigs. I scraped in a few little rocks and bumpy textures using my trusty little piece of credit card. And we're going to add another layer to this tree trunk and try to get this a little darker. I don't know if you probably have noticed, and I don't know if it's a distraction or not, but I basically have added a little bit of background music, so when I'm not talking, it's not quite so mundane and boring. And now we're using some cadmium red light and a small round brush. I think it's a number 4. And putting a little bit of sparkle in these leaf clumps. Always got to have a little sparkle. A little more subtle texture in that large tree trunk. Give it some shape. And back with the fan brush. This foreground area is kind of dark. It's in shade, so try to darken that up and create that impression. We'll give things a little bit of a dry here, using the world's quietest hair dryer. I don't know about you, but when I'm watching videos and they pick up a hair dryer and I have to listen to that for, 2 or 3 minutes, it gets a little bit irritating or annoying. So I edit that hair dryer sound out completely. Because we don't need any unnecessary annoyances, do we? Listening to me drone on is probably annoying enough for some of you. I'm still kind of learning how to be a narrator on these videos. It's videos and video editing and everything that goes with it. It is all new and kind of a learning experience for me, but I'm having a good time with it. So hopefully as time passes, experience will teach me how to do it a little bit better. Need some more highlights into the red areas on these leaves. I'm using cadmium orange for that. Yeah, I like that. They're starting to sparkle a little bit now. I'm liking that, so I think we'll put a signature on it and call it a done deal. There you go. Country Road. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll consider subscribing and ring my bell. We'll see you next time.